Good morning, everyone. I am so happy to be here. I am living in the country, and when I look outside my windows, I have a forest surrounding me. I can see birch and walnut and fir trees. And this morning, I'm going to bring you 3 stories about what I think those trees are whispering about when I walk through the woods. Miku was a young man, and one morning he went into the forest to gather firewood. But today, Miku was feeling lazy. So instead of picking up the branches that were on the ground, he thought he would just chop the first tree he saw. He came to a tall, slim tree with white bark on it, and he took his axe and he went whack. "Stop," said the tree. "Don't chop me." A talking tree? Now that was strange. "Why not?" said Miku. "Why, Miku, don't you know what kind of tree I am? I am a birch tree. From my bark, you can make baskets. You can make a canoe. And from my twigs, you could make a broom. I am useful to you." "You're right," said Miku. I won't chop you." "Thanks," said the tree. "Remember, you care for us, we'll care for you." Miku walked further into the forest. He saw another tree, and he took his axe and he went whack. "Stop," said the tree. "Don't chop me." "Why not?" said Miku. "Why, Miku, I'm an apple tree. I know you like apple pie. If you chop me down, there'll be no more apple pie for you." "You're right," said Miku. "You are a very useful tree. I will not chop you." "Thanks," said the apple tree. "Remember, Miku, you care for us and we'll care for you." Miku walked even further. He came to a tree with a very large trunk, perfect for firewood, and he took his axe and he went whack. "Stop," said the tree. "Don't chop me." "Why not?" said Miku. "Why, Miku, I'm a maple tree. I give you from my sap the maple syrup you put on your pancakes. If you cut me, there'll be no pancakes for you, Miku." "You're right," said Miku. "You are a very useful tree. I will not chop you." "Thanks, Miku. Remember, you care for us, we'll care for you." Miku walked further in the forest, but every tree he came to seemed to give something. The pine tree gave him pine cones to start his fire. The cedar tree sheltered the deer in the winter. And of course, the walnuts gave him nuts. Every tree gave something. Miku sat down to think. "All these trees are good," he said. "I don't think I should cut any of them." Just then, a strange little man jumped out from behind the tree. His hat was made of acorns, his cape was made of birch bark, and his slippers were made of thistledown. "Miku," he said, "I can see now that you respect and you will care for our trees. I thank you, and all the creatures of the woods thank you too. And as a reward for taking care of the trees, I'm giving you this." And he held up a twisted little stick. "This is a magic stick, Miku," he said. "Whenever you want something from nature, you have only to ask. The bees and the birds, they will all help you." Miku took the twisted stick. "Now remember," the strange little man said, "never ask for anything that goes against nature. Never ask for anything That's impossible. Can you remember that, Miku? Miku nodded his head, and the little man disappeared. Miku put the stick in his pocket and walked back home. But when he entered his front yard, he thought, I wonder if there's any magic in this stick. And he saw some bees over in the flowers. So he held up the magic stick and said, bees, I would like some honey. Bzzz. We will get you that, Miku, they said, and off they flew. In a short time, they were back. They had a big piece of honeycomb, and it was dripping with honey. Miku took a taste. Oh, it was delicious. The next morning, Miku came back out into his yard. He had the stick in one hand and a bowl in the other. And he held up the magic stick and said, birds, I'd like some berries for breakfast. The birds called out, we'll help you with that, Miku. The blue jay, it flew off this way. The robin flew off this way. And the little crow, it flew that way. And pretty soon they were back. And every one of the birds had a berry in its beak. And it dropped them into Miku's bowl. Drop, drop, drop. And they tasted delicious too. Miku's life became very easy. One spring morning, he was up in his field. It had to be plowed. He took out that magic stick and said, moles, help me plow this field. And pop, 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 pop. Hundreds of little brown heads popped out of the ground and said, we'll help you, Miku. And they went up and down, up and down, up and down. And in a short time, the whole field was plowed. And then Miku held up that stick again and said, ants, I need help planting these seeds. Hundreds and thousands of ants came running. We'll help you, Miku, they said. And each of them took a little seed in its mouth and planted it in the ground. Miku's work was all done. Oh, Miku had a very easy life indeed. He got everything he needed from Mother Nature, and he was rich enough to hire servants to do the other work. Now, all of this made Miku very proud and very boastful, and he got used to ordering everybody around and getting what he wanted. One January morning, Miku went outside. It was a gray day and the snow was falling and it was cold. Brr, said Miku, I do not like the cold. And without even thinking, he took that magic stick out of his pocket, held it up and said, sun, come out, make it hot, hot, hot. Now that was going against nature. A hot sun in the middle of January? That's not possible. But the clouds moved away and the sun came out and it shone its beam down on Miku and it started to get hot, hot, hot. Miku took off his hat. He took off his scarf. He took off his mitts, and still the sun got hotter and hotter and hotter. And the beam, oh, he started to sweat. The beam was so hot, so intense that zap, Miku disappeared, and the wand did too. And I don't know. If you go into the woods today, maybe you will hear those trees still whispering to each other. If you listen very carefully, they might be saying, you take care of us We'll take care of you. My next story is about a little fir tree. This little fir tree lived in the middle of the woods. It was a very good place to live. There were birds flying around that he could watch. There were animals scurrying on the ground, and there were other trees to make him feel good and comfortable. But the little tree did not feel good and comfortable. He did not feel happy. What he felt was being very, very different from the other trees, and he did not like that. He thought the other trees were whispering about him, saying, "Look at that little tree. Look how different he is." When he looked around, the other trees had leaves. Oh, some of them were pointy, some of them were loopy, and some of them were long and slender. In the fall, when he looked around, some of the trees could change their leaves into beautiful colors. Well, the maple turned to gold and red, the oak turned a rusty color, and even the willow tree turned a limey green. The animals would come and look at these colors. The birds would come and sit in the branches, and people would come too. And they would say, "Look at those beautiful colors. Look at those beautiful leaves." But no one came to visit the little fir tree because the little fir tree did not have any leaves. What he had were long, short, prickly, sharp leaves. And I want to show you something just like this. "Oh," he said, "I don't like being different with these sharp, prickly leaves. Oh, how I wish I could be different." And just then, the sun was shiny and gold, and the little fir tree had an idea. "Oh," he said, if I had leaves, were shiny and gold, everybody would admire me. The other trees wouldn't whisper about me." And so right then and there, he made a wish. I wish I had leaves that were shiny and gold like the sun," he said. Now, in that woods, the fairy folk lived, and one little fairy was flying by. She had a floppy pink hat and purple slippers, and she had a very kind heart. And when she heard that little tree sounding so sad and wanting to be different, she said, "I could grant that wish." And she made the wish. She said, little fir tree, you will get your wish tomorrow." The next morning, when the sun woke up the little fir tree, he couldn't believe what he was seeing. All of his branches had shiny gold leaves. Oh, the little tree was so happy. "Oh, the other trees will be talking about me now," he said. "None of them have gold leaves like I have. They will admire me." And he was so happy, he made up a tiny little song. "My leaves are made of gold. My leaves are made of gold. Creatures come and look at them. My leaves are made of gold." But before any creature could come, a band of robbers did. They had been hiding in the woods at night, and when they heard that little fir tree talking about his golden leaves, why, they came running with big sacks across their back, and they started picking those golden leaves until there was not one leaf left. And then they hurried away, leaving the little fir tree with bare branches, feeling kind of cold, alone, and very sad. "Oh," said the little fir tree, that was not a good wish. And then something caught his eye. There on the floor of the forest was a glass bottle someone had thrown away. The sun was shining through it, and oh, how it glistened. That would be a better wish, said the little fir tree. If I had leaves of glass, no one would pick those. And so that's what he wished for. I wish I had leaves of glass. Now, lucky for him, that same little fairy with the floppy pink hat and the purple slippers was flying by. Oh, she said to herself, is that little tree still unhappy? Well, I could grant that wish. Little fir tree, you will get your wish tomorrow, she said. And the next day, when the sun woke up the little fir tree, oh, he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Every branch had crystal glass leaves, and the sun shone through and made them glisten. Oh, the little tree was so happy. He was sure he was the prettiest tree in the whole forest, for none of the other trees had beautiful crystal leaves, and when the wind blew through them, they made a lovely tinkling sound. The little fir tree was so happy that he started to sing again. My leaves are crystal glass, my leaves are crystal glass. Creatures come and look at them, my leaves are crystal glass. But before any creature could come, the sun disappeared and a storm came up. The skies grew dark and it started to rain. And the wind, oh, it became a roaring sound, and it tossed the little tree back and forth, back and forth. And when the tree branches were tossing back and forth, so did those crystal leaves, and they smashed together and fell on the ground. When the storm moved away, there wasn't a single leaf left. The little tree was left bare and cold and alone again, and very, very sad. Oh, that wasn't a good wish, he said. And he looked around to see if the trees were whispering about him. But he noticed that the trees still had their leaves. The storm had not taken them. Oh, he said, perhaps I should have wished for leaves like the other trees, broad green leaves. And then he made another wish. I wish I had broad green leaves, he said. And that little fairy heard him. But she was a little confused. That little fir tree doesn't know what he wants, she said to herself. But she was the kindest fairy in the whole woods, so she said, I will grant that wish. And so she said, little tree, you'll get your wish tomorrow, but don't make another one. And she flew off. In the morning, when the little tree woke up, he couldn't believe what he was seeing. He had fresh, broad leaves. Oh, how wonderful he felt. Why, he was just like the other trees. They would stop whispering now. He was sure of it. He was so happy he began to sing. My leaves are broad and green. My leaves are broad and green. Creatures come and look at them. My leaves are broad and green. But before any of the creatures could come, a herd of billy goats came by. And when they saw those fresh green leaves, they started nibbling. First, they nibbled all around the bottom, and then they nibbled in the middle. And because it was a little fir tree, the billy goats could stand on their hind legs and nibble at the top. And when they had finished munching and crunching, there was not a leaf left on that little fir tree, and the goats moved on. the little fir tree was left again, standing there with nothing on his branches, standing there alone, standing there cold, and standing there very, very unhappy. Oh, he said, those were not good wishes. I wish I was as I was before. I wish I had my short, green, prickly needles back. I think I would be happy then. Now the little fairy was flying by, and she heard that wish, but she was a little bit cross with that fir tree. He didn't know what he wants, she said. I've given him 3 wishes, and none of them made him happy. So she stamped her foot, crossed her arms, and said, I will not give him that wish. And she flew off. That night, the little fir tree cried himself to sleep. But he cried so hard and so long that that little fairy that lived close by, she couldn't get a wink of sleep. And finally, in the middle of the night, she sat up in bed. And she knew that that last wish was the best wish the fir tree could ever make. And so she decided she would give it to him. Little fir tree, she said, you will get your wish tomorrow. The next morning, the little fir tree woke up and, oh, all his branches were covered with short, little, prickly needles. And was that fir tree happy? Oh, indeed he was. He was so happy, he started to sing his song. My needles are back again. My needles are back again. Creatures come and look at me. My needles are back again. And the song was so happy, so full of joy, that the animals and birds started to come. The birds flew into those branches, and they found out that they were warm in there. The wind couldn't touch them. And the bunny rabbit hopped over and noticed that underneath the tree, he could burrow and be safe. And the squirrels came and found that underneath the fir tree was a very good place to put their nuts. And so now the little fir tree stood in the middle of the forest with lots and lots of friends around him. And I think if you went into the forest and found that little fir tree, you could reach out and touch those prickly needles. He wouldn't mind at all, for he's very proud of them. And if you stood there, you might hear the other trees whispering, look at that little fir tree with his beautiful needles. He's one of the prettiest trees in the whole forest. And that's the story of the little fir tree who wanted to be different. And now I have a little short story that I'll have to do very fast. Once there was a little girl by the name of Batushka who lived with her mother, and they were very poor. Every morning she would take her goats up into the meadow, into the forest in a clearing where they would graze, and she would spin her thread from the flax, her flax into thread. Oh, she would work hard all the time. And at noon, when the sun was high, she would take out a piece of bread, eat it, and then she would get up and she would say, let me dance for you, goats. Let me dance for you, flowers. Let me dance for you, trees. And she'd whirl around and around and around. And when she was done, she would go back and spin that flax into thread. And then when the sun started to go down, she would call her goats, pick up her basket that looked just like this, and go down and back home. Now, one day she had worked hard all morning. She was just about to eat her piece of bread when she noticed that she was in a grove of birch trees. and the birch trees started whispering to her. Come to the fairy woods, dance with your lady. Dance in the birch trees, dance round and round. She couldn't believe it. Was she hearing things? But no, those birch trees started to sing again, and the air shimmered, and there was a lady in white standing in front of her, a long gown, a crown of flowers, and she said, Bertushka, do you like to dance? Oh, I do, said Bertushka, more than anything else. And so they took her Bertushka's hands and they danced round and round. And she danced so long that it wasn't until the sun was going down that she noticed that she had not done her work. Oh, the lady disappeared, and there she was. What was she going to tell her mother that night? She went home and she was very nervous. She hid her basket, hoping her mother would not ask. And her mother did not ask about that thread. And the next morning she was determined she would work even harder. And she went up to the same grove of birch trees. And she worked very hard in the morning, and she said to herself, I will not dance. But the trees started to sing again. Come to the fairy woods, dance with our ladies. And there was the lady in white. Oh, Bertushka, she said, we had so much fun yesterday. Come dance with me. I will show you some new steps. And Bertushka thought, well, one little dance won't hurt. And she got up and danced. And oh, again, she danced the afternoon away and didn't notice until the sun was going down. And the lady disappeared, and she was left without her work done. She went down to her home, and fortunately, her mother did not ask again about the thread. Well, the third day, she went up to the birch grove. I will not dance, I will not dance, I will not dance, she said. But when the sun was high in the sky and the trees began to sing and the lady appeared, oh, Bertushka sat there, and the lady said to her, Bertushka, come and dance. I cannot, she said. I have not finished my work. Oh, the lady said, I will help you. I will give you something at the end of the day that will make up for your dance. And so they danced the day away, and at the end of it, she had not finished her work. Don't worry, said the lady. Here, I have put something in your basket, but don't look until you get home. It will be something you will really like. Bertushka thanked her, started walking home, but thought I should take a peek in that basket before I show it to my mother. And so she lifted up the edge. The lady had tricked her. There were just old leaves in that basket. Oh, what would her mother say now? Bertushka ran down the hill and she started to cry so loud that her mother heard her. And when her mother came out, there was Bertushka, tears running down. She wrapped her arms around her and said, Bertushka, what has happened to you? Oh, I've been tricked, said Bertushka. I haven't done any work for 3 days. And now the lady in white up in the woods, she said she'd give me something and she didn't. She just gave me old leaves. Oh, said her mother, Bertushka, you are a lucky girl. That lady in white, why, she's the fairy of the birch grove. She always gives little girls who dance with her something special. Are you sure they were just leaves? Let me look. And her mother looked in the basket. There were not dirty leaves in there. There were leaves of gold. Oh, Bertushka, she said, we will be rich. The lady has given you such a precious gift. And so they did become rich. They bought a little farm, and Bertushka didn't have to work anymore. But sometimes Bertushka would go back up to that birch grove. She never ever saw the lady in white again, but sometimes she did hear the trees still whispering. Come to the fairy woods, dance with Our Lady, under the birch trees, dancing round and round. Well, that's 3 stories about whispering in the trees. And I think if you go into the woods, you might hear them whispering something to you too. Thank you.